Today we're talking roads in Lincoln County, where the money goes, what's coming next, and what voters need to know before the April ballot. Eric, first off, thanks for taking the time to talk with us. We appreciate it.
Thank
For
you.
for people watching, go ahead and introduce yourself, what you do, and what that actually means for the roads people are driving on every day here in Lincoln County.
Okay, yeah. For those that don't know me, my name is Eric Tapley. I'm a lifelong resident of Lincoln County. I currently serve as the director of the Lincoln County Highway Department. Worked my way up from operator and promoted up through the ranks. So my job as director now, I do submit a budget to the county commissioners every year and plan our projects that we're going to be working on with the commissioners a lot more. I go and work with our bidding department to get equipment that we need. I'm over all the hiring and promotions within the department. So just the overall big picture within the highway department falls on my shoulders, and as well as the county commissioners.
How'd you start at this job?
So I found out about this job. It was interesting. I had a current job. I was looking for a change in place. And it just so happened that someone I knew of an opening here and said, "Hey, the county's doing some hiring." I called up the supervisor at the time and he said, "We're doing interviews tomorrow morning." Filled out an application, sat down with the current county commission at the time, and they interviewed me and hired me on the spot. And that was 29 years ago. Next month on April 7th will be my 29th year that I've been here.
Nothing's changed since then, right?
Oh, absolutely not. No, actually, we went from a very rural, a lot of gravel roads and things to, we're transitioning to a growing county, a lot of more challenges, more traffic growth. Things have changed drastically in the years since I've been here, and the equipment we use, and the processes we use, and everything we do, honestly.
Well, day to day, what does the highway department actually handle?
So day to day, we handle all kinds of responsibilities. Like we have tractors out mowing the right of ways to keep them open for people. Like today, we're out putting culvert pipes in where they're needed. We're blading roads. We're hauling rock, ditching. We're getting ready to start our paving operations with the weather warming up. We do snow removal, all those activities. So we do just about everything you need to do. Tree removals, tree cleanup, pothole patching, you name it, we're responsible. We do all of our own paving in house, overlays, and new construction. So, with that being said, there's very little we have to hire out. We pretty well do everything in house with our crews.
Said something about new roads there. What's the process for adding a new road?
So the process for adding a new road, first of all, we try to go out and identify which roads those are. So we've got traffic counters we use. So we look at traffic counts on the roads to see where they rank and there. We also have an asset management program called OpenGov that the county uses here at the highway department. So we track everything we spend on hauling of rock, blading, everything you could think of that we do on the road. And that way we can rank the roads per mile. Like what are the costs on one road compared to road over here, and we can compile a list of that and see what we're spending on those roads. We look at safety concerns, any kind of safety issues, and we take input from like the schools, emergency services. We contact and hear feedback from them quite a bit on where the problem areas or issues they're having. We take all that data, we put it together, and we try to see where's the most beneficial use of our resources. And then the first step would be, first of all, before you can even pave a road, there's a lot of work that has to go into that road before you even get to that point, right? You have roads that were built, 100 years ago or more. There's culverts, trees that are narrow. Maybe some of these roads are 16, 18 foot wide, no ditches. So obviously, we're not going to pave that road in that condition and make it even more unsafe. So the first thing we want to do is upgrade that road and make the necessary changes. So one of the things I will do is contact all the residents on a road through mail, phone call, whatever we have to do. Usually we mail them all a letter, let them know what our intentions are, that we would like to upgrade your road. This is what we're looking at. This is what we need from you. We'll get in contact with them. Once we do that, we'll have to obtain any temporary easements or any right of way needed. We contact the utility companies.
Can you briefly talk about that right away easements for people that may not
Yes.
understand? Those are scary words
Yeah.
sometimes.
So what we have, the county has an easement, which means the landowners own everything to the middle of the road. So the landowner actually owns the road. We have a state statute easement that goes through the road. So we have a right to maintain the roads and ditches and mow the brush within that. That's a little different than you see with MoDOT, or maybe some of the larger cities have what's called a right of way where they've purchased it and they actually own it. We have the easement. So usually whenever we're doing like an upgrade on a road, we're asking for a temporary easement to go back on their property to do some improvements. But when we're done with the improvements, we want the original corridor with to maintain that road and ditch. And then the property that we went back farther on, we're going to turn it back to the landowner in better condition than when we got it, and we'll seed it, straw it, and they can mow it, maintain it. And we did not obtain any extra property from anyone. They still own that property and they can do what they want with it. We just have that road corridor to maintain the road and ditch.
And then you were also talking about like when a road become or is starting to cost a lot more compared to another road. What happens there if the cost on a road is just exceeding or becoming too great? Anything or
So that's where we look at, and we kind of generally know where those roads are. But when we look at the actual data, data doesn't lie. We let some of that data make us go in one direction or another. If we're out every time it rains, a road's flooding, getting rock washed off, it's flooding, maybe trapping citizens in where they can't get in or out on a dead end road, especially where they have no way in and out, and it's a safety concern. We identify that as what can we do to upgrade that road to make it safer for the traveling public, and we don't want to go out and continually fix things over and over and over, wasting resources and time because our time is valuable. So if we could go out and do something right once instead of doing it over and over multiple times a year, that's what we focused on the last several years. So we've taken a lot of low water crossings out. We've taken pipes and upgraded them. We've done improvements to roads to where people have an option to get out when it floods or make improvements. And then, so we've knocked a lot of roads out that had a lot of ongoing chronic issues. We want to eliminate those chronic issues and get it to where it functions better for everybody on traveling public.
how many miles of road is the highway department responsible for?
So currently we have 480 miles of road total that we maintain. The Elsberry Special Road District in the northeast corner of the county, they have their own road district. They maintain about 100 miles. So within our system, we also have 88 bridges. So on our roads, we have about 205 paved roads within Lincoln County that we maintain, but there's still 275 miles of gravel roads. And I feel like that's a common misconception where a lot of people, maybe in the southern part of the county, see that, well, most all of your roads are paved, and that may be true in your neck of the woods, but overall within our total system, when we look at it, we still have more gravel by about 70 miles than asphalt. But we have made a lot of progress over time because, like, when I started, we had 5 or 6 roads that were paved just a few miles, and now we've paved 175 to 200 miles of road just in our area since I've been here.
So I think probably one thing that most people really, I guess, misunderstand is who maintains what road. So can you kind of explain the difference in that? And because I'm sure you've never been blamed for bad plowing or
Yeah,
anything from
yeah.
MoDOT or
No,
eh,
there's a lot of misconception on who maintains what. So with the name Lincoln County Highway Department, people tend to think, well, everything within Lincoln County could or maybe is yours. So MoDOT has their roads that they maintain, they're their responsibility, and they have their own budget for it, just as we do, and just as the cities do, and just like Elsberry Special Road District does. So for a MoDOT road, it is a letter or numbered route. So like if you have Highway W or Highway 47, that's a letter or a number, that designates a MoDOT maintained roadway. City streets or anything within the incorporated city limits, all of our roads have a green and white sign, and it says Lincoln County at the top with just a name on it. So you can usually kind of identify them that way. And if you have any questions, the best thing is to call the office and we can identify that. But we do get a lot of calls or concerns people have, and they'll call in, and Gene takes a lot of those in the office too, about certain roads, and we'll be like, well, that's not our road, and we always try to provide the information to them on who to contact and a number or email to get them there. We don't just pass them on and say it's not our responsibility. We do everything in our power to make sure we get them the right number or person to contact within that.
why can't Lincoln County just go throw some asphalt over here on 47 where all the holes are? I mean, what does it matter who covers who? It's Lincoln County.
Well, there's several reasons for that. One, it's kind of a liability issue. That's not our road to maintain. It's not our jurisdiction. It would almost be like you going over to your neighbor's house and mowing the grass or cutting a tree and say the tree limb falls down on the house. Now, who's responsible? Well, they have their jurisdiction and they have their processes and ways they maintain things just like the cities do. And we don't want to step on anybody's toes. Now, I will say we do projects where the easements meet or right of ways meet within the cities and the counties. We do a lot of projects where we kind of overlap and work together to accomplish a project. In fact, we have some of those coming up this year. I know for a fact we have done stuff on state right away quite often with their approval to pave to the end of an existing road. So if you look at a typical county road, like on say Highway 47 out here by our shop, a lot of that, the first 20, 30, and sometimes 100, we've even got up to 300 feet of that roadway is actually on state right of way. It's really not our responsibility to maintain, but we go ahead while we're there with the paver and stuff and work with MoDOT and that and get permission and go ahead and complete it, because the residents would call and say, why would you stop 30 feet short and the road's terrible and it's right at the intersection? So our commissioners and me, we think that's the best use of our time and resources there to work with people and accomplish things that make sense. Like this year, we're going to be working with the city of Hawk Point on some paving on some roads. We've worked with the city of Troy, the city of Moscow, the city of Silex, and the city of Old Monroe on small projects where they pay for the funds and the projects, and we can do it in cooperation. And I think it just helps all of us when we work together better on projects like that.
Well, let's get into Proposition 1. What is it in simple terms?
So Proposition 1 is a sales tax, 0.5% sales tax that was originally passed in April of 1996. It provided that money for the Lincoln County Road and Bridge and the Elsberry Special Road District to help better fund the roads and bridges with the growing county. So it has since been renewed twice. So what Proposition 1 is a renewal of the existing tax that you're currently paying and have paid for 30 years for the maintenance of your roads and bridges and for the Elsberry Special Road District. It's not a new tax, it's just something that's been going on and on. And the reason it's on the ballot this time is because it runs out in March of next year. At the end of the year, they will quit collecting it otherwise. So that tax does provide almost 60% of the funding for Elsberry Special Road District, and it provides just under 40% of our funding. So for our department, with a little over $7.5 million budget, that's a little over $3 million of funding. Last year was like $3,050,000, I think. So it's a significant portion of what it does. Like I said, we've replaced a lot of bridges, over 60 bridges in that 30-year time period. We've almost have 230 miles of asphalt roadways between Elsberry and us that we've accomplished because of that. And actually, like I said earlier, I started here April 7th of 97. April 1st of 97 was the day they started collecting the tax. And the county started hiring more employees at that time because of that tax, so that, people like me and we could expand our workforce and better serve the county.
So you've never been here without that tax.
I've never been here without it. I've never witnessed it. So yep, I started right about that time. There were several of us that got hired on, and I didn't know anything before that. Nope.
Well, where does this money actually go?
So the road we get, the money we get, it goes to just about everything we do, um, from buying rock, paying for asphalt, which is very expensive, paying salaries of employees. So one of the things that has really increased really since COVID, the last 5 6 years, I would say, the price of equipment to buy. Like if we're looking at a new road grader that 5 6 years ago we bought for 270,000, for instance, is now 400,000 roughly. When we're looking at quotes, dump trucks, same way, 50 60% more. So as you're seeing that, the cost of equipment has went up, the cost of rocks going up, everything up, and it's going up faster than, sales tax and things coming in. It's a challenge to be creative to make sure that we can get everything we need for the people in the county and maintain those roads. So really, like I said, that money goes to maintenance of existing infrastructure, and building of new infrastructure like bridges and roadways and asphalt roadways. And we don't just do improvements on the gravel roads just to pave them. If we see a road that needs improvement or safety concerns, we can do that and leave it gravel. We're just identifying roads that we need to work on in general.
And one thing I want to bring up here, I've been to several meetings. You typically do your presentations Tuesday mornings at the
Tuesday
commission
morning at
meeting.
9 a.m., I meet with the county commission every week, unless for some reason we're not meeting, and that's open to the public.
When I've been over there, I know a lot of times discussion will come up about renting this piece. And can you kind of explain the thought process behind renting versus why it's better to own and kind of how that works out for the county?
So one of the things that's my job to do is look at, is it better to rent or to own a piece of equipment? A lot of that comes down to the price to purchase it. And then how much are you going to use that equipment? Are you going to need it for a week or two for the whole year and that's it? Then it's probably better to rent that equipment. But if it's something, a piece of equipment or tool we can use pretty well throughout the whole year, then it's better to just purchase that equipment. So when we had like a street broom a few years ago, we were renting it when I came in and we started looking at what was the cost of purchasing it plus the devaluation of that over time and the replacement cost. It was much more beneficial for us to own it because there were always times throughout the year where a truck would lose rock on the road or there was debris on the road. We had to go out as a service to the county and clean the road off. We didn't have a broom available and we're searching for ideas what to do here. So, like in that case, we thought it was much more beneficial and for many reasons. And we paid that broom off over what the rental cost. Within 2 years, we already had that broom and owned it. And other things, like if we're taking a concrete box out or a low water crossing, and we do 2 or 3 of those a year and we need to rent a breaker and an excavator, we'll rent it because it's not beneficial to maybe purchase it because that's a lot of money and maybe we just need to rent it for a few days. So a lot goes into those calculations on which is better. We look at all that and do our homework on it and see which one's more beneficial money wise.
And you said how long has this tax been in place?
This tax has been in place as of next year will be 30 years. So it was voted in and then renewed twice before. So this will be a 30-year period next March.
Now, out of all that, you said over the last 30 years, we've acquired a lot of equipment. Is that something that are we pretty good on equipment now? And now we can transition more to put more money towards roads, or is that kind of an always?
It's kind of an always, keeping up with your equipment. So we've tried to also look at like how long do you want to keep a piece of equipment before it's beneficial to get rid of it with the downtime, not having to be able to use it or the repairs in the shop because shop bills have went through the roof too, parts and that. We fix most of our stuff in house with our own mechanics and our own crews are very good at helping with that. So we try to do all of our repairs, services in house as much as possible. Sometimes that's not available, but we do feel like that it's beneficial to do that and that so some of the challenges to the equipment side is you've continually got equipment getting a lot of miles on a dump truck or a pickup or a tractor. So what I try to do is plan long term to see what's projected the next several years so we're not caught all of a sudden with needing two graders, two dump trucks and a tractor, and all of a sudden we don't have the money to buy that. So I'm already looking years ahead. That's one of my jobs as director to kind of plan that out, not only in the road projects, but the equipment side. Like, what are we going to need coming up so that we can plan better to make sure we have the right equipment we need? And we don't want to replace it too soon and spend money on it when we could use that money elsewhere either. So we're always looking at the most beneficial way on our equipment to maintain it. We're looking at maintenance costs and all that, and how many repairs we're doing on it, and that all that goes into effect on what we need and what we don't need. But it is an ongoing issue with just kind of if you just because if you don't buy any equipment or much for a couple of years, now all of a sudden you're going to have a large amount to replace and then you can't afford to do it or it's going to affect your other work you're doing.
If this doesn't pass, what changes for people driving every day?
Um, I don't know what that would look like, honestly. I know we would lose a lot of our funding. So with that said, I think depending on what this election does, April 7th, when what would happen is I would sit down and look at our budget as a whole, and I would have to make those cuts within that budget. So when I propose the budget to the county clerk and the commissioners at the end of this year, it would reflect that loss of funding. So what that looks like, I don't know. I hope we don't have to face that. But it would just have to be something we'd have to address at the time. But when it's 40% of your funding or 60% for Elsberry, it would be significant. So there would be changes within what we do for sure or what we buy.
How do you decide what roads get fixed first?
So usually like if let's say there's a rainstorm, and there's a lot of calls or issues, between myself and the two foremen here, we go out and put eyeballs on the roads. We drive them, we survey them, see what's needed on a situation like that, and we prioritize them and we relay that information to our grader operators, backhoe guys, whoever, and prioritize and move the equipment and the resources where we think it's the most needed. Usually that's roads that are closed down or are in really bad shape. Also, whenever we blade the roads, we kind of tell the guys, hey, this is a priority here, and we try to do that. So within the stuff that's not immediately needed, though, we take those traffic counts, we do those surveys, and like me and one of my foremen, we are getting ready to do like they call it Pazer ratings. So it's a asphalt rating system for your asphalt roads. We're getting ready to start that again. So after the freeze and thaw cycle of the year, we'll go look at every asphalt surface we have, and we'll do a Pazer rating and rank them. And then within that inspection, we'll show this is what the road needs. It needs crack sealed. It needs to be restriped on the yellow center line, or it needs shouldered. Any kind of needed maintenance we see we need, we'll put it on there and we'll prioritize it and come up with a complete list for the guys to work on. So we're continually looking at almost daily, weekly, monthly, like continually looking at within our system, the infrastructure, like what are the needs, what do we need. One of the other things we're going to be doing next month is we have to inspect all of our bridges, which by bridge, by definition, is any structure 20 feet and longer. So MoDOT has to inspect those as required by law every other year. So we're due in April of 2026 to do inspections with a MoDOT bridge inspector, and I will go with them or one of the foremen next month, and we will do our own inspection. We'll see, is the bridge safe? Does it need a weight limit? Are there guardrail repairs needed? What's going on with it, and we'll see what's needed there. Compile a list, and we'll get that completed too. So, as you can see, all of our infrastructure we're looking at day to day, just seeing what's needed everywhere.
Well, let's talk about Elsberry. People hear about the special road district, but don't always understand it. What is it?
So years ago, Elsberry had established their own road district to maintain their roads, and that's not uncommon in the state of Missouri. Other counties around have had that in the past. A lot of them have dissolved, and I think it went into like with the main county highway department. But there are a lot of special road districts, so the people in that area had established that road district. I think with the help of the county commission at one time. So what they do, all the tax money you pay goes to the county courthouse, and the collector collects all that. And then from there, the money's divided up based on a formula on how much Elsberry Road District gets for an operating budget, and we get our part of the budget. And then they have their own three county commission or road district commissioners to just over the roads and bridges. So they set their own budget, kind of maintain the roads how they see fit. They have their own employees, their own budget. So they kind of operate independently, but they do communicate with us and our county commissioners. And I talk to their foreman quite a bit, and we compare notes because we do kind of intermingle where roads transition from our road to theirs or back and forth. We do talk to those guys over there quite a bit and try to coordinate and make things function the best possible. If we need to help each other out or whatever, we share notes and talk during winter storms and other stuff. So, yeah, so they've kind of got their own operations going on over there, but we do communicate quite a bit with them.
And can you kind of touch on how, I think you might have mentioned it earlier, but how this Proposition 1 affects Elsberry as well?
So for Elsberry, it's a much more significant amount of their funding. So the sales tax for them is just under right at almost 60% of their funding. So operating on I think around $1 million budget is what theirs is on what they operate on. You can see that's probably around $600,000. So to cut it down that far, yeah, I don't know what they would do. Or it would be very very significant decline. I mean, anything that faces a 60% decline. I mean, ours would be 40% would be bad enough, but 60% is significantly more, and I would think it would be kind of hard to kind of face that really.
And does Elsberry Road District, do they cover all their own stuff from snow removal to replacement and everything like you all do for the rest of the county, or is there anything you all take care of for them?
Years ago, we used to kind of do some intercoordination with stuff, but now they do their own mowing, they do their own blading, they put their own pipes in, they do it all. And I live on one of their roads, and I will say they do an extremely phenomenal job. They do a great job over there. Like my road stays mowed, it's in great condition. When it snows, they're out, the road's clear. I have no complaints there. They do a phenomenal job. They have a lot of good guys over. I know a lot of those guys for a long time. And one of them used to work for me over here. So I know a lot of those guys very well. They do an exceptional job, and I think they're very fortunate with a three-man crew to really have the three guys they have doing that, because they have to be a jack of all trades. Like here, we can have people more specialized would be okay because we have such a bigger crew, and you could have people just for paving or just running a grader. Not everyone has to be able to do everything. Over there, those guys have to be multifaceted and multi-talented to be able to haul rock, mow, blade, do it all. So they do all their own maintenance and replacement of pipes and everything, and they do a phenomenal job.
Do they have all their own equipment, or do you all share equipment?
they do have their own equipment, so there is no interchanging there either. Like, they have their own budget, they have their own commission, they have their own guys that work there, and other than us just kind of communicating and kind of making sure we each know what's going on and how we interchange over some of the roads where we overlap, they kind of do their own thing, and they, like I said, they do a really good job. From what I see on there, I'm really pleased with what they do on my road. So I think they do a phenomenal job for what they have to work with. Yeah.
Well, and I'm sure you've never heard this before, but I mean, okay, for those people that say, let it fail, just let Elsberry close up and just combine it into one road district. What do you have to say to that?
Well, I live there. I know. I think there would be some benefit to going in with us, and there's some benefit to them being outside. That's the benefit of for them to come in with us. From what I can tell, is a matter of the Ellsbury people themselves making that determination, which is the way it should be. The voters should decide within an area what happens to their roads and bridges or whatever within our area or theirs. So if they see that they're doing a great job for them and they want to stay there, that's their decision. If they decide to come in with us and they wanted to, that would be welcome with open arms as well. So I think either way, there's good options there. As long as those people are satisfied with what they're getting, I think that's a great thing.
Well, Lincoln County is growing fast. What kind of pressure does that put on roads?
So one of the things is I've heard this from other utility companies and other companies you see around the water companies, electric companies too over the years. Organize shorter, smaller growth, you can kind of handle a lot easier. When we have the growth that we have, especially in the southern part of the county growing this fast, it is hard to keep up with the needs of the roads and bridges, utilities, everything we're doing. And it's for MoDOT, it's for the cities. We're all facing it. We're the fastest growing county in the state of Missouri, and we're facing a lot of challenges. So we have ideas, things we need to work on and do. A lot of the time it comes down to time and money. Can we get there fast enough? Can we really improve it fast enough? I feel like we're making a lot of headway. We're replacing a lot of low water crossings that we see are really an emergency need. And I also feel like we're trying to pave roads and get ahead of it. For instance, when we started paving roads, there were roads with several hundred, 500, 600 cars a day or more traveling them that we were paving. Now we only have one road that is 200 or more a day on any gravel road in the county, and we only have 10 or 12 roads that have 150 cars a day or more. So as like I said, we've shrunk that down to where maybe the needs of the asphalt and that we're getting more on top of things instead of being reactive and trying to play catch up. We have done a pretty good job of trying to keep pushing and get ahead of the game and get out there before the traffic gets there. And then one of the things we've tried to do is we want to build the road for the future. So we changed a few years ago how we build the road. We don't want to just put a little bit of rock down, put a couple inches of asphalt. Hey, it's black, it looks great, the dust is down, everybody's happy, and that's it. We want to do it right the first time, because if not, we're going to be back out wasting tax dollars redoing it again and again, and the residents are going to be frustrated with us working on a road over and over. No one likes a construction zone. No one really wants the hassle of us being there. They like the result, but it is a hassle and inconvenience when we're there. So we want to go out and do it right the first time, and we're out of your neighborhood and you can travel on the road for years to come without seeing us. So that's the plan.
Well, let's take a step back. A few months ago, I don't know the exact, maybe a month or so ago, but we had that big snowstorm. What does that look like from your all side?
So what we do for snow removal, the way we want to be, we almost feel like one of the probably the maybe the most important thing we do all year might be snow removal, because it is a very unsafe condition when the roads are slick in the winter, right? So this all starts planning last year, early in the year, buying any equipment we needed, getting our salt supplies replenished in June and July, maybe not waiting till the end of the year, because like we saw this year, salt was in very short supply and people were having trouble getting it. Well, we were already fully stocked and we try to keep it that way to where we don't get caught without supplies. Two is starting around October, we start getting all of our trucks and equipment in, plows, spreaders, everything we use, and we say, let's go through and service them. Let's grease them. Let's go make sure everything's in functioning order where it works. So we've had some calls from people. If we're out on a 70-degree day in early October and you see us spraying salt brine on the road, there's a reason for it. We're calibrating, checking out equipment. So when the weather does come, we don't want to get caught with equipment not working, and because sometimes you have to order parts and that. So we go through first and get all that equipment operating. Then going into that, we do in-house training for our employees. We go through all that. We assign them on a 12-hour shift, 7 to 7. Half our crew is 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and the other is on the other shift. And every month we switch it. So supervisors and all, we all switch. And then they know where they stand. They know when they're on call. And then we sit there and monitor the weather. And we get from the emergency management director, we get information there. We watch several different sources. We compile all that and kind of see what the overall thoughts are on the snowstorm. If it's not going to rain first and we can go out and pre-treat, we will pre-treat. It depends on if it's going to be a lot of rain for a while and then switch over. It's just going to wash it away. We don't waste the resources and the overtime. If we think it's beneficial, we'll get out and pre-treat. And then when the snow starts, we always have crews in-house, in the trucks, on the road, with trucks ready to go out there as soon as it starts snowing, and we don't finish until the roads are clear or deemed as clear as possible. Because if it's really cold, sometimes you can't get them cleared all the way, but we'll put an abrasive down, which gives you traction with the salt. That'll get you traction and make it safe until the salt starts to work. And then on the gravel roads, we kind of wait on those until the snow kind of wraps up for the most part, because it takes us 24 to 30 hours to cover those gravel roads. It's a slow process there that most people, I don't think, realize it, just how slow it is, because you don't want to push rock off. You have to be very careful, and they're a little bit different conditions there. And the grader is a little bit slower process. So we'll get out there and kind of hit those once the snow quits, and we run those around the clock 24 hours too. In fact, not this winter, but the winter before, I was in a grader. The other supervisors were in trucks or graders too. So when needed, we all pitch in, we all help out, whatever it takes to get the best response we can for the public.
Well, referencing this specific incident, it seemed like from this side at least, it really seemed like everything went right. So can you
Yeah.
answer what really
I
went
think
right?
I think a big part of that is we do so much training. We prepare our equipment, we prepare our guys, and we communicate with them as early as possible. So it's not just me and the two supervisors that know what the game plan is. We want our workers to know the game plan, so we're all on the same page. So that communication, being prepared, having the equipment ready well in advance, being ready to respond, and when that if and when that winter storm hits, we can respond with the best response available. And we've also added more plows, more spreaders for the asphalt as we've and created more asphalt roads. There's more mileage to maintain, so we need more plows and spreaders. So I feel like we can respond within a few hours. We've been on every road within a few hours at least once. We've treated them. So usually once that snow quits, if within 6 or 8 hours, everything should be pretty well covered, and we have a really good response time.
How many trucks do you have out during something like that?
Currently we have about 10 trucks we run. So we have like a 550 truck, and we have a lot of dump trucks we run. And we assign them a set area. As long as everything's functioning properly, no breakdowns, they have their assigned area. And that's where that October training goes in, or November training ahead of time. The guys are familiar with the roads and the routes, because we do get new employees. So we want to train well in advance, make sure they're familiar with the routes, the turnaround spots, any areas that are of concern. And that way they're the most efficient they can be when they're out there. And Yeah, so that I think that's helped a lot. By the amount of mileage that each truck maintains or has to plow has decreased since we've taken over, as got some more plows and that out there. Because like I said, with the growing county, it is key to get out there and get the roads in safe condition. Because as we've seen, a lot of people, uh, can't stay home, or they don't stay home, but you have emergency services and people that have to go to work just like us. So there will be people on the road, and then we want to provide a good safe surface for the schools eventually when they reopen, and all of our emergency workers, because it's very key for them to not have to respond to those accidents. If our roads are in better condition, there's less accidents, less people running off the road, things like that. They don't have to respond, and they're not putting themselves in danger, and the roads are safer for them too.
Well, just generally speaking, if you could fix one misconception about road work, what would it be?
Um, I think one of the big misconceptions that a lot of people have is that, well, that it used to be a lot of like we just picked roads randomly, or because someone lived there, or someone came up to the courthouse and complained about a road is why we worked on a road. We do take a lot of account into the traffic counts and the data, and let the data kind of tell us some of those things. And we try to look at all that. That is a big misconception. And so, I mean, I think we've made a lot of headway in that, and we've tried to do public meetings like we did last week, and we've done a lot of things to try to share things there. So, the best way to stay abreast for people to kind of say what's going on in Lincoln County, we have Facebook page that I would encourage anyone to like. We do real time updates on road closures, or if there's water over the road, culverts, things like that. It's great for that. Also, our webpage, the longer plan for the year or bigger projects looking months or even a year out, all that's on there as long as the traffic counts for any roads we've completed. You can go to the highway department webpage and it's right there for anyone to see. We're trying to be as transparent as we can be and show the people what's going on and why we're working where we're working.
What's the most common complaint you get from people?
Usually this time of year when it starts raining, we'll get a lot of potholes, some washouts in the rains, and some of those roads we have not worked on yet do get pretty bad at times. There are no ditches. You know, you've just got the banks. The road's narrow. There's not much you can do it till we get there and make some actual real improvements to the road. So we're just kind of maintaining it the way it is till we can get there to make those long-term improvements. And then also here in a month or so, another big one you'll see is with all the spring rain and stuff, what happens? All that grass grows all at the same time. So you have 480 miles that need mowed at the same time, right? And you can only get there so fast. So we just start plugging along and getting there. So we'll get a lot of calls. And I don't know if it's complaints or just concerns. And they just say, hey, my road really needs mowed, or I've got a lot of potholes over here. And we get out there and as fast as we possibly can and split all of our tractors or graders out and try to get there as fast as we can.
Well, let's talk about how your office handles complaints or people calling in. You want to kind of touch on that?
Yeah, so you can go on our website and there is a report a concern thing. So after hours, there's no one here. It sends an email to us. You put your name, the address, the road you live on, phone number, email, whatever pertinent information you need on there. And then I check that even after hours at times, and we will monitor that. Um, or you can call in here to the office when we're here. Usually Jean is in the office and responds to that, and she will take all that information you give in the complaint or whatever you have, and then it divides it up to me and the other two supervisors. So we're all in a group email chain and we have records of it to go back on. And one of us will assign that or take it and we'll go take a look at that. We try to respond to complaints or concerns we get within 24 to 48 hours as fast as possible, at least get eyeballs on it. See what the concern is, see if it's an emergency or something we need to get on right away, and at least get a phone call or response back to that landowner so they know, hey, you did get my concern. You're taking it serious, and you're going to address it. And then at least give them an idea. It's going to be a couple weeks before we get there. It's not a big deal. Or hey, we're going to be out later today or tomorrow to get it. And I think people appreciate just the communication side of it, just being quick with communicating and saying, hey, we acknowledge what you're saying, and we're going to be there.
How far does road funding actually go today compared to 10 or 20 years ago?
Uh, I'd say we were okay till after COVID, and you can see a lot of the equipment costs. You know, the cost of health insurance for the counties went up. The cost of employees, you know, we want to pay our employees more and more because our employees do a phenomenal job. We're doing our own paving. We're putting box culverts in. They're operating graders and backhoes. They're very skilled people with a CDL. You know, obviously we want to pay them as good as possible, but all those costs have went up around us. So obviously the county's costs have went up across the board in every office. So it is more of a challenge here. We've seen engineering cost for a bridge project go up, you know, significantly over the last few years too. And I think a lot of it's happened in the last 5 or 6 years. So with the tax money coming in at a flat or small rate, but the cost going up significantly, that's where we've got to be more creative and be a bit more efficient. And we got to do everything in our power to be as good as we can with our funds to make it go as far as we can to provide a good service to the citizens.
I know there for a while you mentioned CDLs. It was very difficult to find people and to get them to work CDL. Is
Absolutely.
that still a struggle? And how do you guys handle that?
It is. So they made some changes to the CDO laws just recently in the last few years. Um, so we were sending people to a CDL school because you get a lot of people that do not have a CDL. And it's hard for us to go train people and send them. But starting this calendar year, we did get with another county and some other people and set up to where we are going to train in house instead of spending thousands of dollars to send someone to a training school. It will cost the county about a little over 200, like 215 to $20 for the ELT training. We're going to sign them up. We're going to log in their hours for ourselves here. With someone here is going to log in their hours. We can do that. We're a registered training facility just in house for ourselves only. and we will train those employees, and it will basically, other than our time, which we were already doing and trying to help them out, we only have a 215 to $20 in it instead of thousands. And then I can go schedule that test at Hannibal, take them up there with our truck and get their CDL at relatively little to no cost that way in our truck. So that's another way we've tried to save the taxpayers money and then speed that process up. But a lot of people think I can't apply at the county, I need a CDL. That's not the case. The only thing we require is you do need to get your CDL permit before we can schedule a start date. But if we offer you a job, if you get that permit, we'll schedule start date. And then day one, you're in a truck training. We're getting that test scheduled. We're working on getting your CDL, and we'll help you get that. Absolutely.
Are you full staffed up here? Or you still needing help?
We're always needing help.
Who's the right candidate for a job like this? Who wants to come in here and work for Eric?
Actually, anyone that shows up every day and shows up on time, that shows a willingness to learn and do what they ever they want to do. I don't care if you've got any experience running equipment or trucks. We've had several individuals come in with little to no experience, turned into some of our best workers we've ever had. We also have people with a lot of experience. Maybe they drove to the city, they've worked another job for years, and they want to be closer to home and not travel and drive an hour or better every day, or they want a 40-hour a week job that's guaranteed 40 hours and more secure, closer to home for family time. It's kind of a mix. It is anybody that is willing to learn or that has those skills. We're willing to teach everyone how to run every piece of equipment here. A lot of our guys we're getting in here and gals now do not have any equipment experience or very little, and we're training them, and they're really kicking butt. They're doing a great job.
What projects or improvements are coming that people should know about?
So some of the things we're working on currently, one of the big ones that's big to me is a few years ago we had a big weather event from Troy to Hawk Point. It washed out on Giles Road, one of our low water crossings. It decimated it. Half of it was completely gone, put it in terrible shape. So in the last few years, we have paved all of Giles Road, but now that low water crossing is still terrible shape, right? So those things are so costly to the county to fund and replace. So we finally applied for some funds through the BRO system, which is through the state of Missouri, for funding, which is an off-road bridge system. So they started making low water crossings eligible for application of that. I applied to that about a year and a half to 2 years ago. We were approved for $660,000 approximately to help pay for that project. That will not fully fund it, but that will pay for about 2/3 of the cost of that. So without that funding, we may or may not be able to afford to replace that crossing without really, really affecting other paving and other projects, hiring, whatever. But with all that money there, now we're going to provide a bridge, which the BRO system will only allow you to put a bridge in. We can't put another low water crossing in, and that they want to eliminate those two. They know that's a thing of the past. So we're going to.
Can you touch on that briefly? I've heard you talk about or hate on low water crossings now for half a dozen times. Why are those so bad and costly?
So one of the things when we talk with our partners with emergency management, specifically the Winfield, Troy fire departments, with the growing population in those areas, and these new people coming in that aren't familiar, or they're moving to areas they're not familiar with, they didn't grow up here like I did, they're not familiar with the roads, and they don't know another way, or they don't know how deep that water is. So we're getting more and more water rescues, or people not knowing, where to go another route. So they're getting more water rescues, more safety concerns. So with the growing population, if you're a very rural county, a low water crossing probably functions okay. But with the population growth, especially in that 47 corridor, southern Lincoln County, we have tried to eliminate those and get rid of those. It's just a super safety concern. And some of our fire individuals or rescue people have went out and they've put their lives in danger too, trying to rescue the people that did get washed off. So we want to not put them in that position any more than we have to, or the residents. So that's why we're eliminating Giles. Another thing you're going to see is North Lindsay and Burkhead this year. We're currently getting ready to any day to put some floodgates up. So anyone that's familiar with Gravens Road or for instance Bluff Road knows years ago we had multiple issues with no matter how you tried to block a road off, when there was flooding on the road, people would move the barricades or they'd try to drive around. We were getting water rescues. People nearly drowned or did drown. We had people, risking their lives to try to get the vehicles out and everything else. It was a major issue. So the thing there about 10 years ago was let's build some floodgates. We can lock them and they're not movable and then people can't get through. And we have had no more issues since we've done that. It has really stopped it. So North Lindsay and Burkhead will get those as well, because that's the two hot spots that we've identified with local emergency services. Those are two of the hottest spots we have. There's continual issues with people driving through or possible. And I think the one reason there is because it's a smaller stream, so it comes up so fast. You can stand there and watch the water rise. You can watch it
Wow.
go down. So in a matter of minutes, it can raise maybe feet. So it can catch you off guard, and it only takes a few inches of water to wash some of these newer cars that are light, low to the ground. 8-10 inches of water, it's off there, and then what? So we're trying to eliminate all that.
If you could tell every driver in Lincoln County one thing about the roads here, what would it be?
Um, I feel like so one of the things I want people to take away from this is everybody that works at this department cares. We all live here, we work here. A lot of us grew up here. One of the things that when we're out working on your project, we always look at it like if this was my house or my road and I drive it every day, how would I want that taken care of or maintained? So we put a lot of pride in doing things right and doing it right the first time. And we want to be proud of a project when we get done. So that's one of the things that I feel like all of us here, we do take pride in what we're doing.
Well, Eric, anything we missed? I want to open the floor to you. If there's something that we missed you want to talk about?
I will say on the asphalt side of things, one of the things we do provide to residents that some people may not be aware of that we had interest in lately on a project was we do what's called a cost share. So there may be some roads that they're not really high on the list, but they're coming up 5-10 years down the line to pave or make improvements to. If residents want to, and they have done this in the past, like MoDOT does, there's what's called a cost share. So we have done that with usually it's area businesses or such. So sometimes we get calls from our economic development office, for instance, about there's a business going in and we look at it and go, well, if they're going to have several semis and these heavy loads and increased traffic, we like to know that. They give us a heads up that's coming. We can work with that business owner and see this is what it's going to cost to upgrade your road to that. And we do one of those every year, every other year. So we do quite a bit of that. So we do quite a bit of that kind of stuff for sure on the cost share side of things. And to try to maintain the system because we try to stay ahead of it because if they're going to come in with some of that new traffic, it's going to put a burden on a road and it's harder to do those improvements after the traffic's there than before. So, and that helps us, if say a road costs $200,000 to pave it and a business or landowner pays $100,000 of it, well, that's $100,000 we can spend on your road or bridge somewhere else and we can get more done with that money. So it's beneficial to us.
All right, I'm going to ask this next question. You can dodge it if you want.
Okay.
It's just about planning and zoning, the hottest part. So,
okay.
One question that continues to come up, conversation is all about planning and zoning. And I know that with our interview with economic development in different areas, that cost sharing option has come up. And my understanding is, for example, there's a business out off of, is it Medemeyer, I believe, with the large trucks that go?
Lynn's Mill. Yeah.
Lynn's Mill.
Lynn's
Okay,
Mill.
so
Road.
out on Lynn's Mill.
Yep.
And my understanding is for a business like that, there's really nothing that can be done outside of planning and zoning. So does planning and zoning have any effect on the highway department at all or anything cost share wise, or how does that play in?
To be honest, I'm not super familiar with the planning and zoning and what it would do or not do for us. I do know we get a lot of complaints from residents about what is going in their neighborhood or what's going in on their road. And it affects the traffic. It maybe affect the safety, like on Lynn's Mill, may affect the safety of the road with larger trucks not being able to transverse around the corners, things like that. So, maybe some better planning and zoning would help with that possibly. But that would be up for the citizens to decide and get that done. I think as a growing county, I think you do have to kind of plan everything because like we're planning our infrastructure and we have to because we're growing. And I think that's every department from the sheriff's department, every office we have here, the cities, the counties, Elsberry Special Road District, we all have to, I think, plan for the future and have long-term goals and have an idea of what is it going to look like in Lincoln County 5, 10, even 20 years down the road. And we need to plan accordingly, whether it's roads and bridges or whatever you do. And that probably plays into that a little bit at some sort. And I know I don't really remember it being in or how it worked, but I know it was in once before, and I guess it got taken back out. So I'm not really familiar with what that looked like.
Yeah, nobody can answer that question. I've been looking for that since 90, lasted for like a year or two and was quickly gone.
I don't either. And like I said, I'm not sure what it would look like moving forward. If it's like customizable, like can Lincoln County develop it and make it their own how they want? But I think the thing to do is anytime you bring change like that or anything, the thing would be to get a lot of input from the citizens of Lincoln County, see what their needs are and wants, and get a wide variety and background of people, not just from one background or one road, one area, from all over the county and all that, and take that input in. If it was going to go to that, I would say. But if it would help us in any way, that's great. But I really don't know how it would affect us, honestly.
All right. Anything else we missed?
I don't think so.
All right, Eric. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time, inviting me out, and sitting down with us.
Thank you.